Welcome back, everybody. First and foremost, I want to thank the people that saw my last video and decided to subscribe. It wasn't a ton, but it was a handful of people, and I really appreciate y'all seeing something that you enjoy and showing it to me with the likes and with the subscriptions. This has really been more of a fun project for me. A little bit of backstory, I used to do Bookstagram for a couple of years during COVID, and over the last year or so, I've kind of fallen out of love with it. It became more of a numbers game to me and less about sharing experiences that I have with books with a community that has the same interest. It almost solely became about numbers, and that's just something I wasn't interested in. So I decided to switch over to the YouTube side and see if this is a little bit more fun for me, and it has been. So the numbers don't mean anything to me, but seeing people come and support and leave comments, leave likes, follow or subscribe, I really appreciate it. So, but let's get back into this video. Today, the video is not about me just talking about the great support that I've been getting, but about a slightly different topic than I've been seeing on YouTube, and that is books that are intimidating. We all have like these books that we've picked up, we've grabbed because the cover's gorgeous, or we grab because the premise sounds awesome, or we see other people are reading it, and so we go and pick them up, but then it just sits on our shelves for weeks, months, years even, and it's because we're slightly intimidated by it. Whether it's the page count, whether it is the fact of whether I'll like it or not, whether it is the themes or whatever, there's something that's holding you back from reading it, and you're not alone. I suffer from this a lot. A lot of times I don't finish series because I'm worried I won't like it. I'm worried that the series is going to end on a note that just really rubs me wrong, and now something that's become one of my favorite series is now something that I just cannot pick up or recommend, or that it'll end and then it's over, and then what? I'm constantly chasing the feeling of whatever that book had, and I can't find it. And so that always has been something that I've struggled with as a reader, is finishing series, having the confidence to finish the series, and just letting it happen, letting it all play out the way it's supposed to be. So these books that I am going to go through are not books that have that problem. These are books that I have picked up and have not read, whether I've had them for a couple weeks, a couple years, doesn't really matter. Regardless, they're books that I've struggled picking up and being like, I'm just going to dive in today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into that first book. Now, the first book is one that I actually picked up, and it's not just one book, it's actually the entire first trilogy in a much larger series, a well-loved series, but this first book is something that I have wanted to read and get into for a while now. For those that may know, going back to the Bookstagram account, one of the people that I connected with originally was Roger Reeds, and Roger moved on to making YouTube content. I believe he still posts on Instagram, but one of his beloved series is the Legend of Drizzt by R.A. Salvatore, and I remember one of the questions that I wanted to ask him was, where do I start? But thankfully, he actually made one of his first videos was on Legends of Drizzt, the entire legacy, and where to start with it. I caught a lot of interest watching that video of getting into the series and kind of diving into something that is well loved, a huge figure in the fantasy genre, and tons and tons of information and lore and a lot of books to get through. So there was never going to be a shortage of a series that I might love. So I did pick this up with the intent of reading it, but I'm a little worried that I'm just not going to like it. I actually picked this up at a used bookstore down the road from me. This is the 25th anniversary of the Legends of Drizzt. I believe is the first series. This is books 1, 2, and 3, Homeland, Exile, and Sojourn. I got the omnibus for it. Got it for only like I think $12, so pretty good deal when the first book, Homeland, goes for $15, $16 as a paperback on Amazon, so not mad at this, but they're not long at all. Like, I think this whole thing, less than 1,000 pages for 3 books, which is actually fairly short, but it's the idea that I'm not going to enjoy something that is well loved in the fantasy community. And it's a silly thing to be, scared about. It's a silly thing to let intimidate you, but getting into something and hoping that you have some sort of expectation for it, and unfortunately that expectation falling well short of what you wanted, can be a little intimidating, can be a little terrifying, because I just spent money on this. I've invested time into it. I'm hoping that I can connect with other people who enjoy it. But what if I don't? And unfortunately that's holding me back, but I'm really, really hoping that I get over that and jump into this, because if I do really enjoy it, I have a lot more to enjoy. And in a similar vein, though, that this other series is not necessarily on this list, but now I guess it can be. It's also the Warhammer 40k book series. There's a lot of those books, and every time I go to the store, I see a couple of them. I see the Horus Heresy series, and I get really interested in wanting to pick them up. But I'm also very scared that I'm gonna hate a very, very well-loved series. And that's just something where it's like, do I commit the time, do I commit the money to possibly really disliking it? So that's book number 1, or books number 1. The next series isn't something that is intimidating necessarily for the fact that it is long, though that is a huge part of this series, is its length. It's not for the fact that it is well loved, even though it really, really is. It's probably one of the most loved series, period, in the fantasy genre. But my intimidation factor here is the actual content and how it is written. I've heard nothing but the prose being very well done, very poetic, very interesting to read. I guess I can't really find what word I really want to use to describe it, because I've never read it, but I've heard nothing but the prose being absolutely fantastic. And a lot of times prose like that can be a little bit intimidating, having to read something 2 or 3 times to really understand and grasp what it is that the author is trying to tell you. Not that I have an issue with reading comprehension, but more or less the fact that I worry that I'm not going to understand a lot of the content of a book, because the prose are a little bit more difficult to read than others. The other part of this is that I've heard nothing but this book is depressing. This series is depressing. The character gets beaten up and pushed down and knocked over constantly, no matter what. And that's just something that is kind of a hard sell. Do I want to read something where a character is constantly put down to the mud? Not necessarily, so it's kind of hard for people to sell this to me, but I did pick up book 1. I do love the UK covers, and I'm glad they're now coming to the US instead of the man standing looking heroically, I guess is the word for it. So please, please, please pitch me Farseer Trilogy. Please pitch this to me in a way that doesn't seem like it's going to be a painful read and a painful read. Because I really want to get all of these. I see them on people's shelves on Booktube all the time, and they look phenomenal. I hear people talk about them and the experiences through them, and it sounds like it's a good time eventually, but I have heard that Farseer is by far not fun to read, simply because Fitz is treated like shit the entire time. And I like to enjoy my reads. I don't like to feel like shit, so help. The third book or series, this one's actually another series. The third series that I'm intimidated by is specifically because of the breadth of the world. From what I've been told, it has 20, 30, 40 named characters just in the first the first half of the series. And then the second half, I believe, has a whole new host of characters. Now, I'm not somebody who is new to having a lot of characters to try and remember, but even then, that's still very, very intimidating to have to deal with. Am I going to remember all these people? Do I need to do homework to remember all of them? I'm not very good at taking notes when it comes to books. So, like, if that's part of the process, am I going to enjoy myself, or am I going to feel like I'm doing homework? Now, I don't know about you, but I only recently started going back to school, and the part that I hate the most about it is doing the homework. So I don't want to do homework for the things that I enjoy doing. Ignore the fact that Malazan, oh, you can't even see it, it's right behind my head, my big fucking head. Ignore the fact that you've probably seen the Malazan series if you've seen my channel before. Behind me, I've only read book 1. So that's also another series that's a little bit more intimidating, but I could take my time with 10 books rather than this series where it seems like I would really love to jump in and kind of just read all of it through. But with 40 or 50 named characters, it is going to be, I only have book 1, so this is Malice, but I believe it's The Fateful and the Fallen by John Gwynne. This is a series that I have seen get both praise and I wouldn't say hate, but dislike or discourse around whether the series is really good or the series is very okay. There have been people who said that book 1 is fantastic, book 2 probably also good, but I've heard that books 3 and 4 kind of have a very slight decline in enjoyability and a slight decline in quality. So those aren't really necessarily things that push me off on this series, but what does is the breadth. If this is something that, you know, I'm really only caring about 4 or 5 characters, but there are 40 named characters, and that's something I can swallow a little bit easier than, hey, there's 40 fucking point of views that you have to deal with, because that's confusing. So if you have read The Fateful and the Fallen, if you have read Malice specifically, and you think it is a good thing to jump into, as someone who has read tons of other books with large casts, but maybe only a handful of POV characters, please also sell this to me. I do want to read this. Unfortunately, it's not going to be a book that or series that I get into this year, but maybe if it's something that's pitched enough, I can read it next year. The final book that I'm going to talk about, having my doubts about whether I'm going to enjoy this or read this or whatever you want to put it as, the intimidation factor for this is a little bit higher than the rest, specifically because this is a series that I have heard, similar to the last one, that there is a little bit of a decline in quality after book 1. I do own the first 3, technically 4 books because it's a trilogy, but I believe the last 2 were split into 2 books. I have them all on my shelves. You might be able to see that there's one book missing right here, but I don't know if the blur, you can tell what series this is. But that's going to be The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. Memory Sorrow Thorn by Tad Williams. I've heard that this book is fantastic. It is such a loved series, but that book 1 is amazing. Now, I've also heard that the follow-up series to this does also have some issues with, I believe it was, storytelling was the main problem, not necessarily the prose or the world building or the characters, but the storytelling in itself does fall off a cliff. And so that's something that kind of, I wouldn't say intimidates me, but necessarily puts me off from wanting to pick this series up. Okay, let's start that part over. So, sorry, my camera died, and so I'm kind of going back to wherever I stopped here. So, Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, I've heard that the first book is really, really good, but that the quality for this series and the world does fall off a bit of a cliff. I have heard that it is not necessarily the characters, the world building, the writing styles that kind of has that decline in quality, but it's the storytelling. That the first book is phenomenal when it comes to the storytelling, the world building, the build up of the plot, but the rest of the series does fall a little bit short, and to continue with that, the follow-up series also tend to fall a bit more flat, with a lot of issues on the actual characters or the character arcs. So it's not necessarily an intimidating factor for this series, but more that I'm a bit put off about reading it. Now, if you've seen my first few videos, you would have known that from my TBR hopefuls and musts, this was a series that I said I really wanted to get to towards the end of the year, but depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm wanting to commit to a large series that I really am a little bit skeptical on whether I'll enjoy it or not, I may switch gears to something else that's a little bit larger of a series. But please let me know, is this worth it? Let me know if it's worth it to put the time and effort into reading all of this, the other books in the series that are right here, and then jumping into the, I don't know if it's a prequel or sequel, but the rest of the books within this world. But that's all I've got for today. I'm gonna have to close it out. I would have other books because I think there's like 2 or 3 more, but my camera is probably gonna die again, and I would really like to finish this before it does, so I don't have to like go charge it and then try and make some more clips and figure out where I left off. So please, down below, tell me books that you are intimidated by. Please tell me books that you have heard some not so great things, or you're unsure of whether it is something that's worth your time to pick up, and share it with other people down in the comment section. Share it with me. Maybe we can find some commonalities and, I don't know, talk each other into wanting to read some of those books. If you really enjoyed this video, please leave a like, please comment down below, and please subscribe. If you want to follow me on my other socials, I will also leave those down below. That includes my Instagram, my Goodreads, my Storygraph, and I believe there's Tome now is a new app that I've tried out that I really haven't posted anything, but I'll try my best. And Pagebound, which is another one. I'm thinking about doing a video just going over some of the newer book-related applications and social media sites that we have. So please let me know if that's something you would like to see. If not, then I'll go ahead and find something else to post for y'all. But without further ado, I'm going to let y'all get on out of here. Peace.